Hello, dear friends. Very strange things are happening right now. The unusual has become commonplace. It doesn't matter how it looks or what you think. The moment depends on the celestial clock. Poet dog. Opinion piece. Final stretch. Clarity act. A new era dawns. Online pessimism. The storm is fierce. Weather the storm. Systemic detonation. Path to a bright future. This moment is unique. The transition has begun. The reset is getting kinetic. Let's start. This is the final stretch before everything changes. According to an anonymous message, the final stretch is the last leg before reaching the finish line. Will it be this week, next month, or next year? I don't know. That's beyond my expertise. But I believe the major changes are occurring in the 3-year period between 2025 and 27, so that the world will have changed dramatically by 28. Rumors about the imminent EBS are growing stronger. There are no dates. There never are dates, but important secrets will be revealed. Meanwhile, the QFS system is ready to replace the central banking system as the new financial system and much more. Starlink satellites are already operational. They will be the new connection instead of the old internet and much more. The education system is going to change. Banks will gradually disappear, replaced by credit unions. The old control mechanisms will be exposed and will vanish. Ordinary people are going to be astonished. Credit unions might be preferable to traditional banks because of their member ownership model and their focus on serving customers rather than shareholders. There is a misconception that it is possible to register a personal QFS account. That is false. There are no such accounts open to the public yet, and scammers are taking advantage of this misinformation. The QFS is a secure system integrated into existing banks. Users will interact with it by accessing their online bank accounts, not through separate external platforms. Clarity Law. The Clarity Law is a cover for the transition to a quantum financial system, intended to eliminate the fiat debt. Look at the sudden crash of Bitcoin and the panic in the markets. It's not regulation, but replacement. What you will witness next week could be the largest transfer of wealth in human history. When the new regulations come into effect, all illicit transactions will be excluded from the new system, because not only is the money traced, but also its origin. The new world is backed by assets and protected by quantum technology. The sudden market crash is an attempt by the elite to extract as much wealth as possible before the door closes. Next week could be the end of the financial slavery system. The trap was set years ago and the guillotine is falling. Online pessimism. Polar shift, Zeta Doc, Baba Vanga, Nostradamus and ancient prophecies suggest that between the end of 2026 and the beginning of 27, global cataclysms could occur, such as a pole shift, natural disasters, and widespread chaos, according to X-Spirit. But I believe in a controlled transition, not a universal cataclysm. Tibetan and Hindu prophecies describe the period between 2026 and 32 as a time when everyone will go mad in quotes. The year 2030, the Iron Dog, is described as the peak of conflicts. Furthermore, the Messiah Foundation speaks of an asteroid impact in 2026, while conspiracy circles debate a magnetic pole reversal. Why are the predictions for 2026 so pessimistic? It is the end of the world or a transition to a new era. Very little time remains, and we will see to what extent they align. Reset news. The transition clock has been activated, and the following sequence will unfold without warning. The coalition has intensified its arrest in more than 200 countries, according to Judy Pinkton. The invisible monopoly that controlled your existence has just collapsed, according to Mr. Poole. Since May 1st, the new system backed by gold and other assets has been operational. The financial iron cutting has fallen in broad daylight. Citizens' property is being returned to its rightful place. The transition to a gold-backed currency system is underway as the traditional banking system collapses. ATMs in major financial centers are discreetly updating their software. What they called a technical glitch last Friday wasn't a glitch at all. It was a real-time stress test. Current accounts are being flagged under the guise of routine security audits. The era of unbacked fiduciary monopolies and print-on-demand is over. Corporate banking cartels are logistically paralyzed, as the coalition has revoked their administrative authorization to distribute public assets. Pay close attention to sudden and unexpected branch closures and digital access restrictions at major banks in your area. They can no longer generate paper debt to balance their books, and their private access keys has been revoked. They designed the matrix to make you believe their financial iron cutting was indestructible, but the main switch has been flipped from within. The validation metrics are in real time, and the old world is running out of air. The reset is becoming kinetic. The transition has just crossed its financial threshold from silent coordination to dynamic execution. While traditional platforms focus on artificially inflating market volatility, the quantum financial system has taken over the basic clearing operations for currency pairs. Operations. On June 18th, Starlink went live in all 14 global sectors. A controlled blackout in 10 major hubs enabled the transition to the quantum financial systems. Former banking cartels lost their primary encryption keys. 34 long-standing dark-side structures were isolated, their funding lines cut off. The Bitcoin servers hosting their accounts were identified and programmed for deactivation. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz occurred at the precise moment the encryption keys to the old financial system were extracted. On Saturday, July 4th, quantum financial keys disabled the central system. Illicit assets were confiscated and deposited into the Humanity Recovery Fund. Databases managing consumers' private applications will be decoupled from public identities. Banks no longer perform routine maintenance updates, but are instead being integrated into a gold-backed ledger, where their access to personal wealth is nullified. Note the sudden frantic meetings among the central bank governors. Note the emergency liquidity transfers that go unrecorded in public ledgers. Physical locks are just smoke screen. The real collapse is happening within the core banking systems. Switzerland. The forum headquarters in Geneva lost signal. The press was told it was a routine scheduled system maintenance, in quotes. Davos fell on Thursday night. The property is being delisted from the corporate registry to be returned to the people. At the same time, the AI pricing engine that generated artificial scarcity is blocked, meaning the matrix has lost its operational capability, according to Mr. Poole. They wanted a world where you owned nothing and were happy, while they collected dividends from your survival. Klaus Schwab disappeared, while a surrender order was issued to more than 400 senior executive and unelected officials. They were given hours to sign over their assets or face prosecution. An intelligence group called the Alpine Commando joined European white hats to raid the firm's underground headquarters. They extracted the servers used for human trafficking. Encrypted bank records reveal a secret network of private transfers that funneled more than 82 billion into the private accounts of 12 prominent leaders. By the end of this year, they planned to impose digital identification by collapsing supply chains. They also planned a lockdown for last winter, but their codes were overwritten by the new system that has controlled the cabal satellites. The European political landscape is in a state of panic. They stare at the countdown clock and the screen flashes red. The old dynasties have vanished. Corporate power has crumbled, and central banks have capitulated. Cracks. The Alliance Summit reveals cracks, with 12 nations aligned against the dark side. Key financial changes will trigger a restructuring. The July 24 deadline is the detonator. The real decisions were made months ago. Behind closed doors, 12 member nations have already secretly aligned themselves with the White Hat Coalition in a controlled dismantling of the globalist apparatus. Special forces from 12 countries are coordinating outside the official chain of command to secure critical infrastructure and neutralize the assets of the dark side. On July 24th, when Section 122 expires, a massive freeze of liquidity will occur in the elite's institutional accounts. The opaque money that finances their operations will disappear, and the 12 nations will announce their cooperation. The trap was set years ago. Economy. Taxes will be a thing of the past, according to X22 report. A tax revolt has erupted in California among homeowners who are increasingly rejecting the burden of property and income taxes. The path to prosperity is being paved. As central banks lose influence, the shift toward a gold-backed economy and a decentralized energy market could represent the dawn of a new era for sovereign nations. The report suggests a shift toward gold and stable coins to preserve wealth. The multifaceted war currently being waged extends to the infrastructure that underpins modern civilization. Nations are beginning to move away from green energy mandates that have led to economic stagnation, decline in manufacturing output, and energy shortages. The solution lies in a return to energy realism. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.